Hey guys, how's it going? So this is Jay and Mike the Plumber back for another episode of part two of John Smyth and his role in history and how he influenced founding fathers. So I do want to let you know we are coming to you from Utah, and it is absolutely
Yeah.
freezing
Oh yeah.
here in
As you
Utah.
can see, the hoodies and jackets.
Yeah, it's
It's a
like,
little cold.
what is it, like
A little
20
hippie.
degrees out right now?
It is. It
And
feels
it
like
was
it's at least
30
that.
degrees
Yeah.
all day, which, I mean, there's some parts that's nothing. You know, people are probably at home laughing. They're like, "Oh, that's not cold.
Yeah. I keep.
I'll show you cold." But
Yeah. We gotta. Oops. We gotta get Jay to get radiant heat in his basement.
yeah,
When you gonna get that
radiant
radiant heat in your
Yeah.
basement? That's what this place needs.
So we're going to talk to you about John Smith. We're going to talk to you about how he came up with the idea of separation of church and state, and how that idea has perpetuated itself through our society today, through the influencing the founding fathers, and then putting it in our Constitution. And take it away, Mike.
Okay. So yeah, is a continuation of our last podcast. Yeah, we're still going to talk about a little bit more about baptism. As an LDS person, we were talking about him baptizing and his beliefs on baptism and stuff like that. As an LDS person, we'd be inclined to debate whether he had the authority to baptize, and of course, be like, hey, look, you can't look, John, you cannot come to our barbecues.
No barbecues for you.
No barbecues
What
for
if
you.
he has those pork chops?
We could probably make exceptions, I guess. That's what we kind of decided in the last one, didn't we?
Yeah.
We'd make exceptions for pork chops.
Pork chops, yes.
Yeah. So, but despite this, there ain't no denying that John Smith did have those, John Baptist forerunner attributes. He paved the way for, the American Revolution and the Constitution and the eventual Restoration and all that kind of thing. But it's interesting to look at his inquiry. His inquiry about baptism. It got a lot of other people in their fields and asking those same questions. The nature of baptism. Yeah, asking about who really was it the founder, who was at the head of these medieval churches, and who was why was the doctrine so distorted and stuff like that back then.
So you're referring to when they sprinkled the children with water instead of submerging them in water when they were of proper age.
Yeah.
And so as a result of that, he got disfellowshipped, or he got excommunicated, right?
He did, yeah.
Excommunicated, not disfellowshipped, excommunicated.
And that's really what led to the the Protestant movement back then. This whole idea of build that wall between. We had a picture of it last time. Yeah, build that wall between separation of church and state. So that's what that was all about. Yeah, that's what launched that Protestant movement. Of course, in Britain in that time period. But yeah, his and it begs the question. Could we be making these same inquiries today? The people. I mean, that really launched a movement back then, and could we be making these same inquiries today? Amid so much confusion and chaos in the world. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that in our country there has been a growing movement of secularism. Ever since I can remember, since I was younger, I grew up in a very secular, very non-godly environment. And then as I grew up in the early 2000s, in the world, I just saw it slowly getting more and more secular, less godly, less religious influence. And now I think that tide is turning. I think there's a natural correction that happens over time, that we're seeing, where people are actually shifting back towards God. I could be wrong. If I am, please show me some stats. But I feel that with Trump getting elected as president, that, Trump, I say there's some people who can look at Trump and say he's not a godly man, but there are clips out there of him praising God and giving glory to God. So I guess it just depends on what perspective you're coming from and how you're viewing that information. But I think he harnessed a lot of people on that side and woke a lot of them up, and a lot of them had their voice heard through him. So I think what do you think about that?
Yeah, he's definitely I'd probably lean more his direction than I would any other direction. I think his some of the things he's said probably resonates with me more than anything, but yeah, I still have to go on this notion that it's a two-party system. It's,
Well,
and my feeling is, there's a lot of things that's done by design just to keep us divided and conquered people and stuff like that.
mm-hmm. But he still claims that he supports the LGBTQ community and that they should have their rights. Which I'm not saying
agree with
that.
that,
I don't think people that are religious should then take that, ability to be able to speak about their religion and then use that as a means to then persecute those who aren't religious. No, I think separation of church and state is, look, I believe this. These are my beliefs. Like, I'm LDS. I'm an LDS Christian. You may not be an LDS Christian. Like, I get that. You know what I mean? Like, look at what they did to John Smyth. He was in his faith. He disagreed. They got rid of him. Because
and while you're talking about on the subject of secularism, I think it's important that we really point out the separation of church and state. That whole concept has been hijacked by secularism, by non-believers to make the case that that we should make the case against Christians.
Mm-hmm.
We should what's the word? Extinguish Christianity.
We should extinguish Christianity altogether, and then let secularism reign when it's a religion of
using
its
separation
own,
using separation of church and state as their basis,
mm-hmm.
not knowing that these people that was, the whole idea was formulated by a man that was deeply
religious.
Deeply religious.
Deeply religious.
Deeply religious.
And a lot of our founding fathers were deeply religious. Now, the ones in the South that owned slaves, I can't say those were the most religious people because they were enslaving people, but not all of them were enslaving people. So
yeah.
And 500,000 people in the North died to free slavery, which basically led to what we have in our society today, which is amazing. So
yeah,
I know these are going to be some hot topics. So if some people listen to this, they may be like, "Whoa, heck are these guys talking about?"
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta let it loose.
You really do. You really do. Yeah.
But anyways, John Smyth. Oh, I'm sorry. No, what were you gonna say?
Oh, to go back to the inquiry that we should be making today. Especially despite so much chaos, confusion, contention, and just and ideology is really divisive and stuff. It's begs the question is like, despite it being so unorganized and so much chaos, there's always organization behind the scenes. An organized effort to inch us every day closer to New World Order and New World worship, which is something that back then that they were really familiar with. You had just one state and one religion that governed the land and stuff.
Well, what's funny is it's like,
and it's sad to see us going back to those times, just dark ages, and that's what it feels like to me, that we're just going back to the dark ages.
Well, I think I heard a commentator one time online say that the first organization of one world religion was at the confounding of the languages at the Tower of Babel.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first time that they were trying to be like, let's build our way to heaven. Let's all be unified. Let's all, so it's not like it hasn't happened in history. So but to each their own, and who has ears to hear and eyes to see.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So.
But yeah, where are we at? So even today, despite so much confusion and division, there seems to be happening. We read that part, and and it begs the questions like, will there ever be people amongst us today, the likes of this John Smyth that, help us to break us out of the state of hypnosis that we're in, and just in kind of break us out of that mold and stuff, and.
I think people need to be broken out of the mold that their faith is somehow silent in their political atmosphere. Look, if there are atheists, the mayor of Salt Lake is LGBTQ lesbian. She's a lesbian.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. Like, she's out there. She's letting herself be known. But but then she's engulfed in an area where a majority of Congress and the House and the Senate, and the governor are probably all LDS.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're all coexisting together and stuff like that because we have a separation. Like the LDS Church has influence, but it doesn't rule everything. Like, oh, we're not letting a lesbian not be mayor and stuff. So
yeah, that's the way it should be. That's what the founding fathers. And that brings us to our next point. John, formulating this idea for separation of church and state. That was the basis for, for the Declaration of Independence. The American Declaration of Independence I mean, that they're two things that really are the same. You know, they're asking the same thing. You know, John Smyth asking for separation of church and state, Declaration of Independence is essentially the same thing. You know, that here in America we're asking for, hey, give us our freedom. You know, let's break ties with these old European monarchical powers
taxational powers,
and these medieval churches.
Yeah,
it's like, let us go.
taxational powers, dude.
Yeah.
They're taxing everything. I mean, they tax over 50% of your income. Like,
Yeah.
we're in bondage. We're in servitude. It's a different kind.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we can accelerate. We can get out of it. You know, through capitalism and stuff. But there are some things that I think are going to come from the top with the recent election, with the cutting of energy prices, that Trump has promised, the slashing of regulations that he's promised. I mean, we're going to see, hopefully, legislation with us having the House and the Congress and the Senate and the presidency now. We should be able to get legislation that's going to be able to implement reforms. I don't agree with the whole immigration thing. I think he should show, I heard an interview he was going to show mercy to the dreamers, but we'll have to see what he does. He needs to get rid of all these criminals and so on and so forth. We're getting on tangents here, but I'm excited, bro. Let's go.
It's just exciting to talk, isn't it?
Yeah.
Tell all two of our subscribers here. This is exciting.
All two of you. That one guy. Here's John Smith part 2.
Yeah,
what was that guy's name? He left a comment. Nice dude.
Oh yeah, we had a guy leave a comment. He wanted to point out that that portrait that we had of John Smith, that wasn't John Smith, that was John Helvis. He was actually the one that took over after John Smith was disfellowshipped.
Yeah,
they wouldn't let him come to Baptist barbecues after he was fellowshipped.
So we got a picture of John Smith coming soon to you.
So we'll be sure to post that so you can.
I told you, I was like, look,
fix
dude,
our error here.
When we kickstarted this, it's like, look, there will be mistakes. Holy crap, there's so much. It's like, you look at these shows and you just look at and you just think like, oh my gosh, like the commentary, the editorial, configurations they have behind the scenes and all that stuff. And I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, it's so funny.
Oh yeah, we got another one from my brother Trent. We promised you a cliffhanger, Trent. So hope you enjoyed that.
Oh, your
the cliffhanger,
the cliffhanger, yeah.
So anything else we could say? Well, yeah, just in closing, I guess we could say, would religious liberty even be possible today if it hadn't been for efforts like John Smith? He really is big person that showed us the difference between religious dogma and religious principles and how to kind of discern between the two, and I think it could be said that he did a great deal to pave the way for the revolution, and brought those attributes and stuff like that. So that's all I have to say. Is that you got anything else?
No, it was just great. Please leave some comments, guys, and
like and subscribe and all that stuff.
Yeah, like and subscribe. Have a great day.
All right, yeah, we'll see ya. Take care.
Bye.